12 years ago, Daniel Carter tried to start a business. It failed. Not loudly. Not dramatically. It just slowly stopped working. And in that quiet ending, Daniel made a decision. He decided, maybe this just isn't who I am. He didn't know it yet. But that sentence would control the next 12 years of his life. Daniel lived in Millbrook, a small town in upstate New York. The kind of town where everybody knows your name and your business. He was 34. Married. Steady job at a logistics company. Mortgage. Routine. Predictable life. But at 22, he had been different. At 22, he opened a woodworking shop. Custom furniture. Handcrafted pieces. He poured in his savings. His weekends. His pride. For 8 months, he worked harder than he ever had. Then customers stopped coming. Money ran out. And quietly, he packed everything away. No dramatic collapse. Just silence. And a belief. I tried. It didn't work. That's just not who I am. That sentence became the operating system of his life. Every time he saw a small business owner, he felt something in his chest. And then the voice would whisper, "Remember what happened last time?" When his wife Maria encouraged him to try again, he'd smile and change the subject. He wasn't lazy. He wasn't bitter. He was convinced. Convinced that one failed chapter meant the book was finished. And here's the part Daniel never realized. The business didn't fail because he lacked talent. He was 22. Undercapitalized. No mentor. No experience. It failed because of timing, not identity. But he fused the two together. Failure became character. And that's how invisible walls get built. Not with bricks. With beliefs. One Saturday morning, 12 years later, Daniel pulled into a gas station. Across the parking lot was a small storefront. Hand-painted wooden sign. Warm light glowing through the window. Inside, beautiful handcrafted furniture. He sat in his car and stared. The owner stepped outside to adjust the sign. White hair. Paint-stained hands. Late 60s. The man noticed Daniel watching and gave a small wave. For reasons he couldn't explain, Daniel got out of the car. "That's beautiful work," Daniel said. The man smiled. "Took me long enough to open this place." "How long?" Daniel asked. The man chuckled. "About 30 years. I tried once when I was young. Went completely under. Lost everything." He paused. "The only way failure gets the final word is if you let it." Silence. Daniel stood there, feeling something crack open inside him. He drove home. Sat at the kitchen table. For the first time in 12 years. He said out loud, "I want to try again." Not because conditions were perfect. Not because fear disappeared. But because he realized something terrifying. The prison wasn't outside of him. It was built from one sentence he never questioned. Daniel didn't open a shop the next day. It took 18 months. Weekends in the garage. Online business courses. A small loan. Long talks with Maria. And setbacks. Plenty of setbacks. The old voice came back daily. "You're going to fail again." But this time, he had evidence that the voice was lying. He had seen a man who waited 30 years. And still showed up. And he replaced the old sentence with a new one. That was one chapter. Not the whole story. 2 years later, Daniel reopened his workshop. Today, there's a 4-month waiting list. He employs 3 people in his town. And above his workbench hangs a framed piece of paper with 6 words. Failure is not the final answer. Somewhere in your life, there's a sentence like Daniel's. Maybe it sounds like, I'm not cut out for this. I'm too late. I already tried. And maybe you've been living inside that sentence for years. There's a name for this. Psychologists call it learned helplessness. When one painful outcome convinces you to stop trying, even when the circumstances have changed. The mind thinks it's protecting you, but it's just building walls.
Every day, people sit in their cars, staring at the life they wanted, convinced an old failure means they can't. But failure only wins when you let it speak last. That decision, it's yours. So ask yourself, was that the whole story? Or just one chapter? Pause. And if this reminded you of something you buried, maybe it's time to open that door again.